Welcome to State of the Matters. I am Kasitoni, joined by our analyst Kings Ojalo. Today we'll bring you the latest breaking news across Nigeria, from urgent update to insightful analysis. We'll guide you through the stories that matters. Now let's get started. Ohanaeze seeks amnesty for Nnamdi Kanu. 2027 politics. Bauchi governor considers ADC move. Yobe prison scandal. Inmate gives birth after alleged abuse. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us. Good to have you join us, Ojalo.
Thank you for having me again, Kasitoni, on this segment. Thank you so much. And our viewers, thanks for being with us.
Okay, so the Ohanaeze group has sent a message to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the release of Nnamdi Kanu on or before June 12, 2026. And June 12 happened to be Nigeria's Democracy Day. And then they liken his fight for the Biafran to that of Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. You know, Chukwuemeka Ojukwu, he was born in 1933 and then he died in 2011. I'm just trying to bring back the reason why they are comparing him to Nnamdi Kanu. He was the leader of the breakaway Republic of Biafra, and then he became the first graduate to join the military in 1957. He was made the Eastern Region governor after the 1966 coup. Then in response to the massacre of the Igbos and the Igbos were being killed in the northern region, and the breakdown of the Aburi Accord, Ojukwu declared the Eastern Region the Independent Republic of Biafra on May 30th, 1967, and he led the Biafran during the 1967 to 1999 Civil War, which he was defeated by federal forces. And then, because of the defeat, he went into exile. He flew to Ivory Coast, and he returned to Nigeria in 1982 because the then president Shehu Shagari granted him amnesty. And after his return, after 12 years, he joined ABGA and ran for presidency in 2003 to 2007, which he did not win. So he died in 2011 and was buried in Anambra State, where he's from, where he is largely celebrated in his community in Anambra State, and they call him Ikemba of Nnewi. So these people, this Ojukwu, he was fighting for the Biafrans. He declared them independent in May 30th. Now, it's the same cause that Nnamdi Kanu is actually fighting. Nnamdi Kanu is not doing anything different from what Ojukwu initiated. He's on the same line. He's fighting for Igbo's marginalization. He's fighting for the same cause that this Ojukwu was granted amnesty. So why will Nnamdi Kanu's case be different? Why is he sentenced to life imprisonment?
Thank you for that, Cassie. If you look at this obligement from the Ohanaeze Indigbo, they actually formulated a means in which there should be a reconsideration in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. You talked about Ojukwu. I declared the state of Biafra in the then southeast. How he was defeated by the Nigerian full force and fled to exile. Came back again, giving amnesty by the then head of state and all of that. Also ran for president and therever. Now, if you look at the case of Ojukwu, it's quite different from that of Nnamdi Kanu, because Nnamdi Kanu, first of all, did not bid to contest for presidency. It was strictly for the agitation of Biafra, that look, he wants Biafra to come to reality. You understand? But on the long run, there was some misunderstanding regarding his agitation, where the High Court of Appeal, High Court of Justice rather, took it to be a terrorist act, you understand, and which Justice Omosho sentenced him to death. Now, Nnamdi Kanu took his own mandate, his own agitation out of Nigeria, totally, you understand. Before it was, let me not use the word arrested, it was hijacked from Kenya. He has been in London, he has been in America, so many countries trying, even in Israel. He went to Israel. I don't know if you heard about that. You know, as a matter of fact, he was highly recognized in Israel, you know, trying to proclaim the state of Biafra in Nigeria. So you could see the differences. One, and also, you know, when I talked about he was misunderstood, you know, the then president, from starting from Buhari, you know, who has been on his case, and which it was his own tenure that he was captured and brought to Nigeria, apprehended, arrested, you know, before there was a negotiation, if he left again, and he was captured in Kenya. Now, all these things, the similarity of what you objected was they had the same kind of mindset of making sure that Biafra come to life. Well, looking at the different strategies, and also why the Ohanaeze Indigbo has come out to justify his plea. You understand? To make the president know that, look, there is no advantage of you imprisoning him. Keeping him custody, orchestrating him in prison for this long is not being beneficial to the public for your mandate. You understand? You know, it's a means of political solution. You understand? Now, even the you know, including President General Senator John Azinta, you know, who is urging, you know, continuous incarceration offered, you know, making sure that this incarceration he has been placed into is not going to benefit this regime. As a matter of fact, it's going to cause, you know, it's going to give this regime a bad reputation. So that is why they are looking for a solution on how, you know, there should be a peaceful dialogue on his release. And again, they also talked about his health. You understand? Being in custody is facing health challenges. And by that, from this situation which Nnamdi Kanu is suffering, if it leads to a death, what do you think will be the outcome? Recently, there was a woman in Edo State that was arrested by the NSCDC. I don't know. I think she was apprehended due to a house issue that government property was found or something like that. They locked her up, and as a matter of fact, you know, she was calling her people that, look, I'm about dying here, oh, please come and take me to the hospital and there. You know, they even gave this so-called prison officials from the NSCDC some huge amount of funds, at least a minimum of 500,000. That please let this woman come out for some time. If possible, send a delegate to follow us. But they refused. They said no, she must go to court. The next day, she was found lying down on the ground, you know, unconscious. Okay, it was when she, you know, laid flat, died at the process. They even tried taking her to the hospital. They discovered that she was dead. Now, what do you think will happen in this kind of a situation? So that this is why this forum is coming out, so that such things should not happen. They also talked about equality of justice. You've been hearing news of the federal government giving amnesty to Boko Haram, to some insurgencies, to some various forums that cause chaos in the country. Okay, fine. And I believe so far so good. Nnamdi Kanu has been in custody. He has been incarcerated in prison. We know for the fact that probably he might have hands up. As a matter of fact, he will hands up from the so-called agitation. That is why they are calling on the president to look into it. You understand? You know, we discussed the other time about Nnamdi Kanu, you know, there should be an agreement and thereabout. As a matter of fact, I think Nnamdi Kanu right now is not even into this so-called. The reason why, and if you look at it, the reason why Nnamdi Kanu has been agitating about Biafra, he has just been, how will I put it, you know, trying to erase some you know, some implementations that the Southeasterners has been deprived of. You know, how will I put it now? Like marginalization. Yes, implemented in the Southeast that looks as if the Southeast is being deprived. They're not given equal rights. Exactly. It is okay. It is now that for the first time Southeast they appointed a minister from Southeast, the deputy speaker from the Southeast. You know, so many high-profile personalities are now coming out from the Southeast. So probably if Nnamdi Kanu's demonstration was not noticed, you understand, there will be total deniement on the Southeasterners. All right, then, Ojalo, if I'll get you correctly, the reason why Nnamdi Kanu is sentenced to life imprisonment is because he took the movement out of Nigeria. Because you said his own is not in alignment with Ojukwu. That means the reason why he has been sentenced to life imprisonment in everything that I'm trying to gather is because you've said so far is because he took this fight out of Nigeria. No, that is not. But I'm waiting for you to actually state the reason. Like,
let us know why he's been sentenced to life imprisonment.
Yes, because they've been alleged investigation that was raised of his statement, threat statement. You know, while he was overseas, there was a video clip of, you know, trying to, you know, people claim he tried, from what some security chief said, some expertise and there about that he has been raising some kind of drastic, how will I put it now, some drastic commands, giving some drastic orders in the southeast, okay, like this so-called sit-at-home. Yes, they said he formulated it, and he asked those in the southeast to make sure that they practice this sit-at-home. I think in the case of the so-called Biafra agitation and what concerns Ojukwu and thereabouts. But he is the same person who has said that it should be totally abolished. You understand? To show you the level of, you know, how will I put it? Is it repentance I will use? Let me use the word repentance to show you that even currently it's not really taking part in that Biafra movement as it was. So that is why it should be looked into. You see, that is one of the reasons, you know, as a matter of fact, why he was sentenced to life imprisonment was all those kind of things, you know. He's made mention of threat and so many things, but he debunked all of them why he was facing trial. You understand? Only for the so-called the so-called Justice Omotosho to give him life imprisonment. As a matter of fact, it was almost going to a death sentence. You understand? So I don't know why a justice regarding the crisis some bandits are causing, you neglect those ones, give the amnesty, and someone who just raised some threats online, just online, not physical. He wasn't seen with gun. He wasn't seen killing anybody. He did not go on stage to say, okay, if the federal government of Nigeria does not give Biafra, make Biafra a country, I'm going or shoot the person on stage. He didn't do all those things. So why? It shows you know there's injustice in his own case. So I really give kudos to the Ohanaeze Indigbo for coming out to speak on this matter again, so that it will not look too biased, him being in custody for a very long time, while other unfair judgment is given to people who deserve this life sentence.
Unfair? Is it unfair or fair judgment is given to people?
Unfair judgment.
No,
yes.
It's fair judgment. Fair judgment is given to people who doesn't deserve the freedom.
Exactly.
So
that is what I'm saying. So because in his own case now, I think there's partiality.
Ojalo, very quickly, let's move away from that to the 2027 politics that is happening in Bauchi State. The governor of Bauchi, Mohammed, is making moves to join the ADC after he was seen having a closed-door meeting with ADC personnel. So let's hear, why didn't he move to APC? Since APC is the ruling party where everything is happening.
First of all, let me ask you, should you be always APC? That should be the question.
That's the place where your sins are forgiven. Or is it without a sin?
I think a wise individual should, at the current Nigeria state, not considering APC at all. A wise person, you know, with the current state of Nigeria, is only those rather who has lost faith in their government that should be considering APC, because they want an upper backing to regain their seats. So I think in the case of Bauchi governor, you know, is fully determined. Bala Mohammed is fully determined that, look, even if he goes to the Abga or anywhere, as far as he's taking up his mandate properly in Bauchi State, as far as that, so definitely, I don't see why I should be considering APC. You understand? But nevertheless, I was even thinking, you know, he gave reasons why he defected, and you know, I think his reasons are more genuine, because if you look at the PDP crisis, let me be honest, if I was in the shoe, I think I'd rather do the same. Being, you know, they talked about reconciliation, and the reconciliation did not come to pass. You understand? All these things are, you know, is way discouraging. I'll be honest with you. You know, so him being the head of the PDP forum, you know, governors forum, at least is discouraging. You know, if you can recall last week, they were thinking about reconciliation. Even the spokesman came out and said, okay, there's going to be the reconciliation, only to find out that our dear Yesuwike, FCT minister, going to uphold another convention in Abuja. How then is there reconciliation? And he's still, you know, he's the one still criticizing those who has defected to the APC, which he was the one who unleashed the chaos that made them defected. And this morning again, when on newspaper, he's talking about my mandate stands and remains for dear President Bola and Tinubu, a confused state. So I think right now the man, he doesn't really know how to stand his ground again in the PDP. So I think he has to really make move. You understand? is more or less like a protracted internal crisis,
Okay,
that does not have solution.
All right, don't you think this his move is betrayal to Oyo State governor, saying that they are the only two governors that were still in PDP and they were trying to bring PDP back to life? Now that he has left, just left with Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, isn't it a betrayal to him?
From his own statement, why he chose ADC, he said it was more or less like he noted that why he had explored joining, at first the APC, invited him, but he said something that he felt he wasn't welcomed, and at the long run he will regret it, and that is why I really like it. I said it earlier on that he is a governor, is a politician that has foresight, because he knows for the fact that, you understand, and he's someone that he has really taken his mandate very well. You understand, and he knows his stand in the lives of the people.
But is he not betraying Makinde?
I don't think this is a betrayal. I think it's more or less saving his head.
Okay.
You understand? But rather than if this would be like a betrayal, is when he went to the APC, yes, the current ruling party. That is when it will sound betrayal. So going to the ADC,
it's not a betrayal.
No, it's more or less trying to join the forum who is against this so-called ruling party that is causing causing this orchestrated menace happening in the country.
All right. Lastly, do you see Makinde joining the ADC, saying that his counterpart has left him?
Well, from recalling Makinde's statement, he has stated these times without number, even when he had a closed-up meeting with the president, that look, and he came out and gave a press briefing that look, I am not joining, I am not leaving the PDP. You understand? So probably he is the only sitting governor in the PDP. He has stated it times without number, just as our dear Alex Oti, saying, look at the strong crisis in the Labour parties. Still at that, Alex Oti is standing, and some people have also defected from the PDP. You can see how to the Labour Party. So right now, let's everyone accept their fate. Most especially the PDP supporters. That look, this party is gone. All right. You understand? Let everyone accept their fates, and rather, I think to me the best option is for PDP to just hand out this 2027, and probably after the election. You understand? But that doesn't mean Nigeria should lose face on other political forums, because if we all, took head and say give up and say the ruling party has had it all, that is to show that we don't really want to move forward in this country. Okay,
thank you so much. Inmate gives birth after alleged sexual abuse. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us. Still on the show, State of the Matters. What do you have to say about this development about an inmate being impregnated by a prison warder? Yes, warder. This, according to the statement, that this victim was actually assaulted in November last year. In November last year. Now, if you're going to calculate November last year to now that the person has given birth, it's not even up to 9 months. So is it a stillbirth?
Probably it's not a stillbirth. Probably that news headline was not really. I think there was not a clear, clarity to that news. But I know for the fact, the word assault. It's being violently. He did it violently.
Yeah.
You see. I really like the fact that we brought this into the table, and it's an opportunity for me to really caution all officials, even though the police, the so-called prison guard and officials, or what they call them, that look, despite you are in uniform, doesn't give you any legitimate rights over male civilians, even prisoners. It's unfortunate that this individual who created this, who took this act, who created this act, was even suspended, not arrested. That is even the unfortunate part. When I read the news, I was thinking, okay, for this act he has committed, he was arrested and locked in custody, and all those who were aware about the move. But fortunately, I heard that he was suspended. Now, tell me, Kasi, if it was a normal civilian who did this, what would have been the news? He was sentenced. Probably, it might even be, if care is not taking him, he might even
be hung.
You understand? Okay, or even be ambushed. What am I saying? Even be, set ablaze by angry mob, that is people, that is what is happening in our community. And anybody who still common matches stick now, if care is not taken, will be set ablaze.
And that one is outside, but this one happening inside
yes,
the prison. So who's going to arrest him and set him ablaze in the prison?
That is what I'm saying. If it was a normal civilian now, that is the action we'll see. But what I'm trying to say is that you being a uniform man, I think you would have laid a good example. You understand? Seeing someone do such a thing outside, what should be your response? I think the so-called prison official, I think is also being given a, how will I put it now, is watching over those who has committed this same act he has committed in the same prison he's watching over. I don't know if you understand. So to show you that our so-called officials, the prison officials or the police, they are not well trained. They don't act according to what they are told to do.
No, they are well trained.
They are not well trained. There's nothing you want to tell me.
Ojalo, they are well trained, but the thing has to do with individual.
Under your custody, probably not to escape, to be watched. You should watch over them in case probably anyone is having issues or about dying or something. Then you took the advantage to, it's unfortunate that why would they even put a male prison warder in a female what they call it, in a female cell, in a female prison to watch over them, to show you, to tell you that it's all planned move, they just, I don't see Nigeria's military security forces and whatever. It's quite confusing. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's quite confusing. At first, why would they put a male prison warder to be watching over female prisoners? There is not well planned. I don't even know how to put it. It's unfortunate.
All right. If I correct that statement that you made, you said they are not well trained.
They are not.
You cannot use one bad egg to
Cassie,
say all
let
the
me tell
eggs
you,
are
it's
bad.
because this one has been brought out. So there's nothing you want to tell me. This thing happened on a daily basis. Is it that the so-called head of prison services are not doing the proper thing? Is it that they are not positioning these people in the appropriate place? Why will you put a male prison warder in a female cell, a female prison to watch over them in the first place? What happened to the trained female warders? Is it that they don't know how to do their job, or they don't know how to do? So it's more or less, I think this is a planned work. Probably they are being commissioned to do this.
They said he has an accomplished. So you don't know if the person that accompanied him to do that, if he's a female or whatever. From that news I heard, I think he took the assault and he was accompanied by even the female inmates to tell you that he bargained with them. And exactly.
Secondly, why I keep asking the question, why? There should be an answer towards that. It seems as if the so-called head of prison services and thereabout just give privilege, okay, do whatever you want to do with them. From the way I'm seeing it, see, Nigeria is a country whereby the law is totally broken, and it's unfortunate it's unfortunate that it can't be amended correctly. That is what I'm saying, because on a normal nerves, a male officer should not be in a female cell or in a female prison watching over those women.
All right,
we are humans for crying out loud.
Thank you so much, Mojalo. That your why is for the federal government to actually answer that. We've come to the end of the show, State of the Matters. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Cassie.
And to you, our viewers, for tuning in. I am Cassie Tony, reminding you to stay informed and stay ahead. Join us next time for more breaking news across Nigeria. Do have a lovely day.